Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Sesso here, bringing us a video today, bringing you guys a Photoshop tutorial on how to get your own very cool Apex Legends header design. Now, a lot of you guys have just been like really asking me to do one of these, and obviously I get it has hype. You guys want to update your stuff. That's good to know. I'm just gonna give you guys my little presentation of it and my good little go around. But this video is also really cool because it's gonna, I guess it's gonna be like the first match. English is hard. I'm gonna firstly put over the Apex Legends little asset resource pack that I put together for you guys. I even left the clipping mask, so if I ever messed up and or you guys just want to fix a few things, you guys definitely can. But these are all pen tooled out, all that good stuff. Just a few different items and resources, like I said. However, it's not done yet. It'll be done by the time I put this video up for sure. But I wanted more than just renders. I'm gonna do a few little things that like placements. I call them placements. Something more or less like this, right? Like these three little lines right here. Oops. These three little lines. Something like these little sort of things right here. This stuff right here that is simply making an illustrator. So yeah. It'll be in the description down below for you guys to kind of speed up your process of just Googling things and whatnot. But with that said, I'm going to show you guys to do something like this right here as well with the character model. I think you can put something really cool in the middle of his chest if you guys want to, but I just put my logo from my background, whatever. I just literally print screened it. But yeah, cool little textures as well. I'll put in the actual resource pack for the sake of the video, because they're going to coming in my new pack that's coming out very soon. But I'm going to put these in here because it really closely resembles the actual texture of the actual, I guess the texture they use in the actual game. With that being said, let's just get this thing going. To us on the video, because I see it down below, which will mostly be the PSD that you guys see right here. But don't worry about it. You don't have to hit 200 likes. Just you guys probably will anyway. You don't have to hit 200 likes to get the cool little resource pack. So go ahead and just check that out for you guys, and leave a like if you guys enjoy it and like it. So just let me know that. Maybe we'll hit 200 likes for the people who want to get the PSD faster. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's just get this thing going. Yeah. Alright guys, let's go and get this thing going right here, right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is, the backgrounds, by the way, they're going to also be backgrounds in the actual asset pack, so you guys can pick one from there. But I'm just going to be using this one for today's video, and also, it's not really that, like, whatever. I kind of just use on the left-hand side, like, very faintly to kind of mention Apex Legends, the map itself, rather than just, you know, kind of having the all cool little UI, sort of like flashy, is that a word? Flashy UI kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So on the right hand side. So I'm gonna start off with just simply kind of bringing in an actual Legends thing. Excuse me, a Legends character. There we go. With that being said, though, I'm actually gonna change it up just a little bit, just to kind of spice it up, I guess, the video itself. This video I used a with this example, I use like a robot. I'm just going to use like the red guy for this case, because this is also a really cool render as well. I'm going to just take this one, and let's just go ahead and just drag this baby inside over here. Now, it's just gotta hide this, sorry. There we go. Alright, we're gonna drag this guy in here. So it is a fairly big size, and I actually got it. It's the actual document size. I think it was in like a 3,000 or so document size. So I want to get renders that can fit in like a 3,000 by 1,000 actual document. So you guys won't have too much trouble with the whole, how do you say, quality wise. So this should be a pretty good little mention right here. I'll put this right here. I'll put that, yeah, right about there, right? Fairly close, yeah. All right, cool. So on the actual right hand side here, so actually activated and or put in. Why am I using such weird words? Can we talk about that? Let's just go ahead and just do on the right hand side, which is that white background. So the way I end up doing that, English, I'm just keep going, you know. I'm gonna pen tool out right behind the actual character, and faintly then move over to the right hand side, just like so, right? Move over to the right hand side, so that way I kind of fill in an actual random shape just in the back here that will go ahead and kind of mask off whatever we ever need to put on the left hand side, which has to be the actual picture we're using over here, right? So I'm gonna move this over actually now, the picture that is, and I'll move that like right about here where it kind of was before. Shows a pretty good area of the map, whatever. You can even zoom in if you guys wish to, but that's perfectly fine for me. And I'll move forward by just going ahead and throwing on that cool texture that I put in the actual resource pack, just like so. And with this texture here, all you have to do is on that red or whatever color you chose, sort of little placement block here, just simply clip and mask this texture on top of that, and then you're good to go. Most people will probably be like, yo, so you probably just could have, you know, use the actual texture and then masked it like this and kind of, you know, cut it off, whatever works for you. I just wanted to do it this way, you know, one of those kind of things. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of shrink this down a little bit more so I can get a better sort of like quality to it, because it's a fairly, you know, high quality texture, but I want more of like a tighter sort of spread out pattern of these cool little grungy-nesses. Yep, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and just type in the word Legends, I believe is what I had before. Now this font here, it's called, I'll show you guys in 1 second. Let me see what I did here. Okay. It's called Merrick. So I'll put the actual, I haven't started, I'm gonna start doing this now. I'm gonna start putting the actual font down that I use in the video primarily in the actual description down below as well. There's a reason why I'm stuttering, I have no idea. So don't talk about it, please. Thanks. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of like, I want to mask this fairly close to what I did before with the sizing. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. All right, let me show you guys something really quickly. So what I started doing recently was mess around with the VA and also the actual I don't know what you would call this, but I guess the actual sort of shrinkingness of the actual the word and text and font. Simply because it kind of gives it a really cool look. And I'm gonna show you guys really quickly. If I put this back to 100 and I give this back to 0, right? I mean, the font doesn't change very much, but you can get a really cool sort of aesthetic feel to it when you kind of mess around with the actual VA spacing, because this font right here for me, originally I was just like, it's a little bit too spaced out in my opinion, so I'm just take the VA right here, and if you guys want to have this actual table, it's just under your Windows characters, and you can just take it when you actually have it open, just take it and drag it onto your sidebar right here, and you can always have it handy for you guys, and just click on the A, and you'll pop it up. So, I take the VA here, I just simply shrink it down by putting my, taking my scroll wheel on my mouse, right? Simply just, drag down or scroll down, excuse me. And I change my VA. Now, as well, for some reason, I know it doesn't look good on every single font, but I would like to say on this kind of font here, if you kind of shrink down this part here, you kind of get a really cool different vibe, and it also kind of separates you from people using the same exact font. I kind of want to mention that because I think it's a fairly cool idea, and I also want to say it's pretty damn cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do this actual surrounding box now, and for this here, I'm going to go ahead and move this over. I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer below the word legends, and I'm going to simply just use the rectangle marquee tool just like so, and I'm going to make a fairly good size box right about here. Okay, cool. I'm just going to fill this in with any color. It doesn't matter whatsoever. If you guys know how to quick fill in when you actually have a selection enabled, you can just press Alt backspace and you're good to go. When you press Alt backspace, it quick fills whatever color is actually in your foreground, which is right here. So if primarily you wanted to switch it to a black beforehand, you can do that. Like literally just like click this, right? Switch to a black, and now you're black, right? So basically, what I wanted to do personally was fill it in with black. If you guys didn't ever change it to black, whatever color you end up changing it to, you can press Control U on the keyboard, just like so. Take your lightness, now for the reference here, take your lightness and just drop it all the way down to -100, right? It'll give you guys a pure black, obviously, and you can press OK, and you can move forward. So what I'd like to do now is Control T on my keyboard, right click, and we're going to use the skew option here, and just give ourselves a really cool little simple sort of diagonal line skew. This will just kind of come in handy with just sort of like giving that cool little, there's a lot of diagonal lines and sort of like really cool sort of even like the victory screen, what was it, the victory screen has this cool little simple box that's also tilted that same angle, so having that be represented behind the text is a pretty cool idea. Now I'm gonna change the color here of the text to white, and now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and do this very simple, cool little thing I saw for the actual UI and kind of just, cut this out in a very simple way. What I ended up doing was taking a pen tool here. So before I actually clicked on this, what I ended up clicking on, sorry, was the actual layer mask down here. So when you click on this, excuse me, what I use it for is basically erase, but it also kind of gives you guys a backup if you guys like kind of mess up or something like that, right? So if I were to just simply really quickly take my brush, right? And for this, I have to use a black brush to erase and or fill in a black color, by the way. So if I use a black brush to erase, let's say hey, I'm gonna erase this out, or you pencil this out and then you like quick fill it in with black, that'll erase it, right? If I use white, right, just like this, it can fill it back in to its perfect, whatever it was before, right? So that's just a cool little thing, kind of mask it out, and we're gonna be using that just simply so I can just kind of do this, right? I'm gonna pencil out this corner with a diagonal sort of pen tool line. And I'll pen tool this out here. I'll get it as even as possible. It really doesn't honestly matter, but it kind of does. So if I would probably also just take one side, do one side, and then kind of cut this in half and then flip it over maybe to make it perfect. But for this case of the video, I'm just going to say we're going to eyeball it and we're good to go. So when I quick fill this in, right, we're going to make a selection, press OK. And I'm gonna quick fill with Alt or Control backspace this time, because Control backspace is the actual background color of black now, because that is the actual background color. If I did Alt backspace, it would quick fill it in with white, and that fills it in. So just keep, pay that attention. It's okay. You can press either one multiple times to see which ones actually erase and or fill in, right? So now that's done there, I'm gonna just simply go ahead and do this part here. We're gonna make another layer right below that black box. And we're gonna go ahead and just click somewhere on this line right there. That's good. Actually, it doesn't really matter. We'll click somewhere like off that line. We'll just click somewhere like right here, like offset, not on that perfect straight line right there. I'm gonna go ahead now and pen tool this around, kind of copy the same angle, and I'll come down here, and then we'll fill this in right there, and then I'll go back in and connect it, right? So it's on this line here, kind of like sort of like hopefully, sort of the same distance away from the actual black box. It's a little bit skinnier here. That's okay though, just give it a little more dramatic, I guess, feel to it. Then I'm gonna go ahead and right click, fill, drop down, use color, and the color I'm going to basically be using is I'm just going to use a gray this time. Did I use gray last time? I think I did, but we'll just use gray for now. We can change the color if we want to. So take the gray, right? Now that that's done there, I'm just gonna simply just drag this over with using Alt and backspace, excuse me, Alt and Shift. If I hold Alt, it makes a duplicate just like so, right? If I let go, there's a duplicate layer, and or you can press Control J on your keyboard, right? Or if I hold Alt and Shift, it'll move it on the same exact axis, whichever direction I move originally, right? So you can see how it's only moving side to side and not up and down when I move my mouse up and down. So that will ensure if I press Control T, I flip it horizontal first, then I flip it vertically, and then I can drag it in here, just like so, and get it fairly close to what it looks like on this side over here, even though this cut right here is not the same. So I'm gonna push this in a little bit more. This needs to be in, this needs to be on the top, and I would say that's pretty accurate. Maybe like this. All right, for people like I hate this when it comes to like ADHD and like all that sizing and stuff, we'll say this is pretty okay. Okay, all right, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and simply just do this sort of little part right here where I kind of texturize it a little bit more, and that's simply just using the same exact texture I showed you guys before. So I'm gonna go ahead, and also I realized this one's a little more thicker than the other one, so I'm just gonna quickly take all three of these, four of these right here, go ahead and press Control T, and kind of make it a little more skinnier. Cool. So now I made it a little more skinnier. I'm gonna take just the black layer here. So I'm gonna click on the black layer. That way, whatever layer I put in from another document size, it puts it right above that layer. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back into my pack here and jump on this little texture again. So with this texture, I'm gonna have it reverted automatically, by the way, or inverted, excuse me. But what you want to end up doing is, why is that happening? Someone tell me, please. Oh, because it's not, okay. I was confused for a second because the white background, all right, you guys got it. Anyway, if I just turn off the actual invert, it'll make it black, and that's basically the little simple little trick that you guys just go ahead and make, you know, quick little black and white backgrounds. You might see a really cool black texture, make it to white. It might look really, really awesome as well. But that's basically what I did for this, and now the actual back plate is now black. And what I'll do now is take this, put this on the actual word Legends, right? I'm gonna invert it again and make it white here, so we have a nice little texture on the word Legends now being white. I can go ahead and shrink this down to a really good fine size to get more of a finer, grungy feel to it. And I think it looks pretty good. I did also one other thing, and I also use this for my pack again. I'm just kind of like flirting with it a little bit, you know what I mean? I'll just show you guys a little bit like this right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and just drag this onto you. If you guys have a brush or something like that, you can use a brush, and or just type in like, maybe like a grunge, I don't know what I would type in to find this, but I don't know. Let's just use this for now, right? Just kind of like spice it just a little bit more, give it a little more detail. Just type in maybe grunge. You might find a really cool overlaid pattern, or excuse me, overlaid texture that you can just kind of erase around a little bit. But for me, I just want to give it a little more of a different texture than just the same thing in the background, just kind of like slightly, right? So now what I'm going to end up doing is we'll do the simple little things in the back right here. So the way to do that, you probably guessed it, literally just use a simple little rectangle, right? We'll go like this, fill that in, just like that. Now, all I'm going to do is press Control T on my keyboard. By the way, the reason why I didn't show you guys to do that, we already did that before, right? All I did was use the marquee tool, right? I make a nice little simple rectangle, pretty good size. Alt, backspace, my foreground color is already my black, so it'll quick fill to black, right? Or simply right-click, fill, drop down content, and then go to black. Press OK. Right-click, deselect, and or press Control D on your keyboard. So, Control T on your keyboard this time. I'm gonna rotate this just like this. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and take my rectangle marquee tool once again. Go like this, hover over the top, boom, hover over the bottom, delete. Oops. What button did I end up pressing? R, I think. Control R, maybe. Okay. All right. So now that I have that there, I'm gonna put this one a little farther down from it. Put this one right back up, just like so. I think that's pretty good. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and just drag these three layers right here. I'll group them together if you guys want to call it like maybe like like streaks in the background, right? And I'm gonna just drag this right below this black box here, and let's call this black box so you guys can see. That's the text, obviously. So this is gonna go right here behind that black box. Oops. Behind the black box. Okay, one more time for the boys. That's not the black box. That's the texture. Ta-da. Black box, and this is the texture. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and just take these little streaks here, put that right behind it, pretty nice and neatly, and that's sort of the thing that actually comes out when it says like you're a champion. So maybe just kind of that's just a little simple ass to kind of, you know, kind of hint at the game that you're a champion, whatever the name is right here. What I'm going to end up doing now is I'm going to use a simple little gradient, what is it called? Gradient overlay, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and change my angle to the same angle that I actually ended up using right here. So for me, negative 48 ended up working. So when you have negative 48, scale around 62 because I wanted to have a fairly close scale. If I put this back to 100 really quickly, you'll see it kind of gets, I guess, a smoother, but I would kind of want more of a harsh sort of like transition to the color. So I took my scale and lowered it down quite a bit. I'll put it to like 65 to be kind of even with it. Okay, so now that I have that here, what I used this color here, whatever color I guess the champion itself is, or the hero, excuse me, or the legend is, I'm gonna just simply click on that kind of like secondary color that they kind of have, hint that around a little bit, press OK again, press OK once again, and I can put on all three of these, but for this one here, it has more of like a muted tone in the skin at least. So I'm gonna end up doing maybe is kind of like taking this one. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this gradient map, right, or this gradient overlay, copy that layer. Right click, paste that layer style, go back over here. Now to get a different rotation is obviously take this angle and just move it to the opposite side. So that's right here. So I'm gonna do now, as you can see, it's not, I want it to transition in the background of the actual thing. So just right here, let's see, boom. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, now if that's not working, so you see I'm moving my scale, but it's also still too far down. You can actually just simply click on the canvas itself and move it toward the actual top side of the actual banner, right? So I'm gonna take this red here, I'm gonna take this, make this to a nice little gray. I'll make it to like a bluish gray, right? And I'll do is I'll kind of lower the opacity in a way, kind of like making it darker. And I would say it looks pretty good right there. Press OK. So this hex tone, by the way, hex code. English is really hard today. We're just gonna keep saying that because it's the hardest language ever. 51595B. Press OK again, and then it's a nice little gray. So I can just take this right here, this layer style for this one right here, right? I'll put this on this one right here. So I'm just gonna find that layer, right click, paste that layer style, and you're good to go. Okay, so I guess the last part for me is, oh, this cool little thing right here. I don't actually have, I think it's in here. We'll just take this, right? Ta-da. We'll find it again. Okay. Right, take this in here, just like so. I kind of shrunk this down, and now a little cheat, if you guys didn't notice, this is actually the same thing duplicated over and over again. So hopefully if someone looks at one side, they don't continue looking. So this is kind of like the cool little thing that you guys see, obviously in every BR to kind of show a location and be able to call it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and simply just do this, drag it once, drag it over to the right hand side. Now this is one of the assets that I was talking about that'll be in the actual pack, by the way. And then there you go, you have that little icon locator map on the top there. And the last part that you guys see as well is this little circle part right here as well. Besides these things right here, very, very simple to do, by the way. What I would end up doing would be go right below the actual black box, we'll make a new layer, and we'll go ahead and just pen tool this just like this, right? And then we'll go down, then we'll go over, and then we'll go like this way like this way like that. It's a little bit different from the other one, but simply anything that kind of like complements this angle right here would be pretty good. It's not like it's the it's not very close to anything in from what is it called, Apex itself. It's more or less this cool little thing that you guys see kind of floating around the UI icons. So I kind of just want to reference that. I think this right here is pretty good. All right, cool. So I'm gonna just fill this in with a black. Oh no, I'll fill it in with red. Kind of like how this red is gonna probably look like that. Then we'll drag it over. We're using our Alt duplication kind of quick shortcut. Control T. Flip this vertical. Flip this horizontal. And then we'll throw this up here. And I kind of want to leave it a little more spacing. I kind of like how that looks. So I'll say right about there. There we go. We can make this any color you kind of want. And I kind of already feel like I want to move this out like this. That'd be kind of cool, and I want to see what they would look like black really quickly. I think we're just gonna leave them black for now. Yeah, we'll leave it black for now. I don't know. What do I do for here? I did kind of make it like one black and one a different color. You can do whatever the heck you guys want. Excuse me. In this sort of version here, my little angles with the actual little background, little champion sort of triple stripe thing that's going on here kind of looks a little bit better without them, but I'm just gonna leave it in there for now and just do the circles. Now I actually do the circles in Illustrator, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do them inside Photoshop. So the way I'm gonna do this is, we'll call this the left and right things. Okay, and I'm gonna make a new layer right below the black box once again. I'm gonna use where is it? It's the ellipse tool under the actual U shortcut, just like so. I'm gonna make this a nice, fairly big. Oops, keep clicking off. So the reason why you saw that happen is because I'm actually holding two different shortcuts, or keys, excuse me. I click once, you start to drag, you hold Alt, that keeps in the same spot that you clicked originally, the middle radius, right? And if you hold Shift, you see how I'm moving around. If I hold Shift, it'll make it a perfect circle. So I'm gonna make sure I go pretty far out, so right about here, I would say. What I'll do is I'll keep my stroke on, which is the second one. So the first one here is the fill. I'll just turn this on really quickly. You'll see that it has a color filled in. You might have the fill already filled in, and or as your default, just simply go to where it says this little none box right here, which is a little red sort of slash through a white box. You just press that. It'll turn off your fill. And if you want to turn on your stroke color, which is what you're going to have to do, is just make it simply black. If you don't have any of these recent colors, just simply make it black by either clicking here and dragging this to black and pressing OK, and or clicking on any pre-made color that you guys want to see and or use, whatever, right? Now what I'm going to do, right to the right of those actual colors is a cool little stroke box here, which happens to be where you put your stroke number. I'm going to put 12 in first. Not thick enough. We'll put like 35. I'll say like 45. Okay, so I want to say this 45 circle is pretty good. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to space this out a little bit more. I'm going to then press Control T. If I need to fix the sizing, I could just hold Control T. While holding Control T, excuse me, I can take an angle here, right? And hold Shift and Alt once again, right? To make sure I can make that nice little size. And when you find out where you want to kind of have it, I would say right about here. Okay, so right about here, a little bit bigger, right about there. I would kind of say maybe a little more thick of a stroke. So if I press U on my keyboard, you can, while you have the actual layer selected, you can actually bring up the little box again. And if you want to bring up the box again, it's going to be right up here this time. I'll go ahead and type in like 55 this time. Okay, I think 55 looks pretty good. Now that that's pretty much done for that part, what I would do is just simply make a duplicate of this once again and shrink this down in the middle here. And then change your stroke size by pressing U once again. And I'm going to go ahead and use like 25. Okay, there we go. So what I would do now to basically get those little simple cuts is I would go ahead and on this first one here, rasterize layer. So right click, rasterize layer. What that ends up doing is if you can actually now erase it and stuff like that, and it's no longer a shape layer. So what I'm going to do is just take the M on my keyboard, which is the rectangle marquee tool, right? You just want to simply just kind of make a fairly big cut like this. And okay, I would say right about here. I'm going to move this little marquee selection. So you kind of cuts to this and cuts to this. Press delete on your keyboard, and then you have those cuts going on right there. Now if I rotate this, you can also kind of move the cuts in different directions. So I'll say right about here for those cuts. And now I don't want to over my character, so what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna click on my character. I'm gonna click Control or hold Control and select the thumbnail of the character itself. Then I can go back to this layer right here, the ellipse layer, right? And then either press eraser, you know, the E on your keyboard, and erase it here, and or just press delete on your keyboard. That way it deletes the ellipse from over top of the actual character. So this is behind the black box, but it's of course also right above the character. You can have a little bit of fun with it and kind of keep this one above it, keep this one below it, kind of make it look like he's in a 3D space. So then I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna leave this one here, rectangle marquee tool. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one right here, delete, Control T, and move this, and I'll make sure it kind of looks like he's above the space right here. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so this right here is interacting, so I'm gonna move this over again. Then I'll just move this one over for the sake of the video. Actually, what I'll do is I'll use the same exact tactic that I did before. I'll make one of them red and one of them black, just like that. There we go. To kind of run with this little black and white theme or black and red theme with a little bit of gray, I'm gonna go ahead and simply above these what do you call these, ellipses right here, I'm gonna make a new layer. Right on that new layer, whatever one you're above, you want to clip mask it. So I'm gonna right click, clip mask onto this circle right here, right? So this layer is now clip masked to this circle right here. I'm gonna click on that layer that we just created. I'm gonna click on this gray. So if I use the brush tool, right? You guys know the brush tool, be on your keyboard. If you hold Alt while the brush tool is activated, it actually activates the eyedropper tool, in which if you kind of scroll and when you go ahead and left click and you kind of scroll kind of around the actual canvas itself while holding Alt, you can actually pick any color you want. I'm picking this little gray color. I'm gonna go ahead and just make this line right here gray. I'm gonna go ahead and click red, and I'm gonna go make a new layer above this actual other circle on the outside, right? Same thing we just did before. And I'm gonna click red on this side over here, and maybe we'll make this right over here. Kind of like that looks pretty cool. Now what I'm finding myself to see is I need to center this, even though this is centered realistically from if we're saying, hey, if this right here, this would be sort of centered if the actual assets weren't here, but we also need to visually center it as well. So I'm actually noticing that the legends needs to be moved over quite a bit, so move over that right now. This is that, and then we need the streaks. We don't need this though. Where is this? We need to take this. This is why I usually group things off of the other things, but whatever. Streaks, then we have these three things, right? And then we have this right here. And then we have the actual box and the word Legends and all of its cool little things. I'll just group this all together so we have it grouped next time. There we go, kind of move that and center this a little bit more correctly with the actual visuals of the actual the graphics that are going on right now. So I would think this is pretty good. So I'll say this is okay. What I'm going to do right now is make sure I put a texture on this little black bars here, the little cool little circles we made. So I'm going to use the same exact texture as I've been using for this little background right here. So what you can do is you simply just, by the way, if you're finding out or wondering how I'm actually going ahead and clicking around and finding where things are by just holding or, you know, clicking on it itself, you can see how I can find any little layer that we have if I just hover over and click on it. I'm holding control and I'm clicking on the actual around where I want. So if I want the character, hold control, click on it. Hey, I found the character. If I want the background, hey, hold control, click on it. I have the background. If you guys are wondering, if you guys, when you hold control, if this isn't already happened to you, if it doesn't say auto select, maybe have it checked. But if not, that's the whole holding control is activating the word auto select, by the way. So when you have your regular movement tool activated, which is V on your keyboard, if you hold Alt, the auto select will actually activate. And realistically, I believe this is on default group. So you want to make sure you default it to layer, and that way you can actually find layers really, really quickly. It happens I happen to like use it every single day of my life, of course, in Photoshop, because this makes everything really, really easy to find. So now I'm gonna go to my background, click on that. So what happens now, I can make a nice little new layer with a gradient map here. And we're going to use a nice little red to kind of complement this little guy right here. And I think this red little preset I have already is pretty good. So for this one here, the hex code is 090911. Happens to be a cool little black, not really a little bit of a darker blue, but also very, very high with the black tones, I guess you would say, but not pure black. As you'll see, that's pure black. It kind of gives it a little more of a lighter feel to not be pure black. And on the right hand side here, it's the hex code for the red is F22323. And this little midpoint here is moved over a little bit more towards the actual left hand side, so that way the actual red gets more demanded. If you guys move this midpoint to the right hand side, you'll see that the blacks kind of command it a little bit more. And realistically, that doesn't look terrible. I would say right about here. I mean, I'm gonna leave it like right there, honestly. Press OK. Press get rid of that really quickly. And now, honestly, I would say you're pretty much done. Anything you do from here is more or less something you could use for your ideas. You can have some really cool, like, I guess I'm just gonna cheat a little bit. Go over here, and I'll just actually use. We can actually use this, right? Drag this over, drag this texture over. So the same exact texture, actually, I'm gonna end up using. Put this over everything, right, and make this a pretty good size so it fits over the entire actual canvas. And I'm gonna go to normal, and I'm gonna use maybe like a color or a linear dodge. Maybe linear dodge might work the best. I think linear dodge probably works the best in this aspect, or color dodge. I don't know, just kind of give it all of a even texture over it. Then you can use the actual layer mask here to actually take your brush and use a black brush to erase, right? Is that right? Right? Yep, black brush to erase. And you can erase around a little bit. Some areas just kind of have this texture floating around the actual canvas itself. I think it looks pretty good. I'll just leave it as so. But basically, guys, that is basically the whole tutorial on how to make your own very cool, simple Apex Legends sort of cool little character-oriented header design. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video here today. As always, guys, if you want to like on the video, it goes a sticker down below. And the Fortnite, holy shit, I said Fortnite. The actual Apex Legends pack. Sorry, bros. I did a Fortnite video last time, and I was like, there's no way I can just, like, let this go. Gotta do the Apex one. The Apex Legends resource pack for you guys as well, which will have a little more other stuff as well in here. So please enjoy it. Have fun with it. Download it. Share it. All that good stuff. I'll most likely keep it on YouTube for a full day, and I'll tweet it out on Twitter or whatnot, and or whatever. I'm just gonna keep it to you guys exclusive for a little bit, and then I'll tweet it out to Twitter. Yeah, so with that being said, guys, much love. As always, guys, oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to take this right here. I was like, I got super sidetracked. I was like, I know I forgot something. We got to take this texture and put it over the black. I saw it. Watch this. Ta-da. Ta-da. See, I didn't forget. I just wanted to see if you guys remembered. And you're probably like, oh, shit. So yeah, that's right. It was this one and this one right here. See? Ta-da. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. So let's chew out. Don't forget to keep smiling, stay positive, and stay freaking productive, guys. Later. Peace.